How to find work in Japan? That's a question I will answer in this video. More and more people want to emigrate to Japan to enjoy the country's unique culture, society, amazing food, or something completely different. In the last couple of months, I've received masses of comments and messages asking how to find a job in Japan. Here's what you need to know. First of all, you need to be eligible to get the right visa. In one of my previous videos, which you can find by clicking up here, I've talked about all the different types of visa you need in order to come to Japan and how to get them. If you want to work here, you will need one of the 13 different types of work visa or a spouse visa. In order to qualify for a work visa, you need a company willing to employ you and a university degree or enough relevant work experience. The work you will do needs to require a certain level of skill. So working in a restaurant as a waiter won't do the job. If you want to get a spouse visa, you need to be married to a Japanese citizen and meet some other minor requirements. When applying to a job, normally you should ask yourself, why should this company hire me? When applying for a job in Japan, you should ask yourself, why should this company hire me instead of a Japanese person? Why should they take the risk to invest into a foreigner who might just leave the country after a year? The answer? Your skill. There are certain fields which have a high demand but little domestic supply. One such field would be language learning, particularly English. There are not many Japanese people with native level English skills. Another one would be IT, particularly software development, which also happens to be the field I'm working in. In these positions, it is often even okay to speak no business level Japanese, since the default language for English teachers is English, and for programmers, the language they are programming in, and English. For other fields, it might be necessary to take the JLPT, the Japanese Language Proficiency Test. Usually, a level of N2 or N1 is the minimum requirement you will see in most job descriptions. If you are working in a field that requires additional certification, make sure your Japanese is on point in these areas as well. For example, if you're working as a physician or lawyer, this would be a pretty good idea. If your certifications are in place, it is time to start searching for a job. First of all, if you want to become an English teacher, probably the easiest way is to go with the JET program or Interact. Links in the description. If that doesn't work out, you don't want to become a language teacher or are not a native English speaker like me, my recommendation would be to use one of the many job boards on the internet. Some good ones are Gaijinpot, Jobs in Japan and Daijob. If you're living overseas, my recommendation would be the former two, because on these websites you can filter for jobs that allow for application from people not residing in Japan. So let's say you are skilled in iOS app development. Go to gaijinpot.com, select Overseas OK, enter iOS and run the search. Select a job offer you like, register and send the information to apply for it. Now I said apply for it, but that's not actually what you're doing, nor should it be your goal. What you are doing is contacting a recruiter. This recruiter knows the market and will help you to get your job. He will send you fitting job offers, make the first contact with potential employees, help you decide your asking salary and streamline your Japanese resume. After some time you will hopefully be invited to interviews. Time to prepare. I have been to many interviews in Japan on both sides of the table, and one thing that is always important and opens any interview is your self-introduction or Jiko Shokai. Usually, if your interview is in English, it is okay to do your introduction in English as well, but some companies will ask you to do it in Japanese, so be prepared. It should at a minimum contain your name, where you are from and your relevant professional experience. If you're using Japanese, make sure to talk as polite as possible, but in any case in formal language, also known as mas form. Other than that, the interview questions are probably similar to the ones you would hear in your home country. It might also be a good idea to highlight your connection to Japan and why you want to move here. Some common questions are: if you are not living in Japan yet, why do you want to work in Japan? If you are, how long are you going to stay? Also, why are you looking for a change? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And of course, what are your salary expectations? Once you'll have survived the interview, you'll have to wait. At this stage, it is a good idea to contact your recruiter. I would usually give mine a call right after the interview had finished. After a couple of days or weeks, you will hopefully get a positive response. Then it is time to prepare for the second interview. Jobs with high skills require multiple levels of interviews. Usually you'll find the following stages. First, a review of your CV. Then sometimes a pre-test, especially for engineers. After that, an interview with your future colleagues and/or lower management. Then an interview with middle management, and finally, sometimes, an interview with higher management. After that, you might have an offer meeting in which you can ask any questions, talk about your concerns and requirements. Then you'll receive your contract and a lot of paperwork. Once that is done, you'll have to wait for your visa and then move to Japan. Speaking of moving, one of my upcoming videos will be about finding an apartment in Japan. If you don't want to miss that, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell button. There are exponentially more jobs for people staying in Japan than for people applying from overseas. That's why some ask, can't I come to Japan as a tourist and then find a job here? The answer is yes-ish. A tourist visa for many countries is valid for 90 days. Let's say you're quick and receive the invitation for your first interview 2 weeks after you arrive. You pass the first, second and third interview in 2-week intervals as well. You'll have the offer meeting after 1 week. After that you will wait for your visa, which might take about 2 months. If you do the math here, you realize that you have to find a way to extend your visa if you want to do that. That's possible for some countries like Germany, but not for anyone. However, I do know some citizens of countries which can't get an extension who manage to pull this off. So if you want to try this, keep the risks in mind. Once you landed your job, please share and help others. Leave your tips for getting work in Japan in the comments and make the life of others easier. Also, if this video was helpful for you, please give it a like. For now, thank you for watching and see you next time.